Hello peoples of the internet, I'm Mo, and I am here today with my March wrap-up. Finally, this is a little delayed, but I got the flu last week and I've been sick for a little over a week now actually, and I lost my voice, so I could not film at the time, but I am feeling much better and I'm very glad to be getting back into the swing of things here. I also would like to say hello and welcome to all of my new subscribers. It's really great to have you, and a big thank you to Rachel and Nicole for mentioning me in their shout-out videos a couple of weeks ago and saying all of the nice things that they did. Otherwise, let's get right into my wrap-up. I actually did not read very many things in March. It was a busy month for me, so I only got through 4 books. But it was a good month in that I enjoyed all of the books that I read, so I'm just going to get right into those. The first of which I have already talked about on this channel because I have put up a full review, and that is Monstrous Little Voices. This is a collection of short stories, each of which is written by a different author, which I received as a review copy in exchange for an honest review, and I did enjoy this book. Some of the stories I enjoyed a little bit more than others. All of them are fantasy stories, and they're all set in the world of Shakespeare's plays, and they use Shakespeare's characters, but they are not retellings of anything that Shakespeare wrote. So I'm not going to talk much more about that here, as I have done a full review of it, which will be linked down below if you're interested. But I did enjoy it, and I think that it would be interesting for people who are fans of Shakespeare and fans of fantasy. The next book that I have to talk about is The Steerswoman by Rosemary Kirstein. I have had this book sitting on my Kindle for forever. I picked it up a long time ago thinking I would read it and then read something else instead. And I recently heard about it again through a number of people's channels here on BookTube who had read it last year and really enjoyed it. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get around to it, I'm gonna read that book. So I did, and this is sort of science fantasy, maybe. It's science fiction that feels like fantasy, whatever that's supposed to be called. And so what it is it's about this woman who is a steerswoman, and in this world it's a sort of academic who travels around and they ask and answer questions. And if they ask you a question, you have to answer them or they'll never answer any of your questions ever again. And so she's going around the world and she's found these gems that have shown up in odd places, and she'd never seen any of them before a couple of years ago, and so she's investigating where they came from, and she sort of catches the attention of the wrong people and gets herself into some trouble, and the wizards are now after her. And so basically you're following her on her journey to figure out what's really going on, and you start to see more and more of the actual technology that is in this world, that it makes it a science fictional story, but that has been presented as magic to the populace. And I found it really interesting and a really enjoyable read, so if that's something that sounds interesting to you, definitely pick this one up. I'm hopefully going to be getting to the rest of the series sometime fairly soon, but we'll see when that happens. The next book that I have to talk about I really enjoyed, but I had no idea what to expect when I went into it, and that was Tea with the Black Dragon by R.A. McAvoy. I picked this up because I read The Grey Horse by R.A. McAvoy last year, and if you've been around for a while, you know it showed up on my best reads of 2015 list, because I just really enjoyed it. This is nothing like that book, but it's still very good. And what this is sort of urban fantasy, maybe. It's set in the 80s in San Francisco, and it's about this woman who goes to visit her daughter who's living there, and when she gets to San Francisco, she can't find her daughter. Her daughter has gone missing, and she makes friends with this guy who lives at the hotel where she's staying, and he helps her to sort of start this investigation to find her daughter. And then she disappears as well. And so this guy, Mr. Long from the hotel, decides that he's going to figure out the mystery and save both of them. And there are a lot of references and influences from Chinese mythology woven into the story, and it was just so much fun, and it was really quick read. I think it's less than 200 pages, so if you like sort of crime stories, and if you like that together with your fantasy, definitely read this one. I couldn't believe I'd never heard of it before, and would highly recommend it. And the last book that I have to talk about today was my favorite book of the month, and that was The Martian Chronicles by Ray Bradbury. If you've been around for a while, you may have seen on my 2016 goals video that I wanted to read a Ray Bradbury book because I had somehow not yet done so, and I found this one on sale, so I picked it up, and it was so good. It was so good, you guys. If you've read Ray Bradbury, you know that his writing is just beautiful. This is a set of short stories that are connected in that they're all set on Mars following the same timeline, so you read through them chronologically, but they don't follow the same characters. So you're kind of getting a sort of history, if that makes sense, although in the future. And it really talks a lot about just human nature and the sorts of the things that the people do when they get to Mars, and also through the lens of the aliens, and it's just so good. A lot of the stories are just really heartbreaking. I had read one of these stories previously outside of the context of the collection, and that is There Will Come Soft Rains, which is right towards the end of the book. And I liked it before I read the whole book, but I feel like it means a lot more now within the context of the book, and I think it's my favorite story in the whole thing. It just... so heart-wrenching. It's so heart-wrenching. And it's like 4 pages long, and he just... Bradbury is a master of using his words and using them to effect, and the fact that he can just touch you so deeply within such a short space of pages. Like, if you have not read this book, you totally should. It's so worth it. I gave it 5 stars and definitely very highly recommend it. So yeah, not much of a reading month this month. 4 books, that's all that I read, but I did end up enjoying them, so I'm grateful for that. If you read any of these, let me know what you thought of them down in the comments. Let me know what your favorite book of March was, and I will be talking to you guys next time. Bye.